there are definitely pros and cons, no, Jules, with the face-to-face versus virtual interviews. Though we've seen recently that it's actually better because scheduling is easier. This time you will never have candidates who will not show up because they all just need to sit in front of their computer and open their laptop. So imagine before they have to travel all the way and there's a possibility for them not to show up, right? So imagine that problem that we were able to solve. But the cons there would really be, it's still very much different when you talk to a person face to face, right? So there are that rapport the rapport comes quicker and differently when you meet them face to face over the versus virtual or versus the internet. But I have to say it's a combination of pros and cons. I guess we don't have a choice but to get used to it because this is going to happen for a longer period of time, right? And I guess if our objective is always to protect our people, whether they're our employees or they're our candidates, we have to adjust to the new normal, and this is going to be the new normal.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loop Me In. This is the podcast for job seekers, young millennials in the workforce, and for the go-getters and the visionaries. In Loop Me In, we will discuss the new opportunities in the job market, trends, and innovations in different industries, and we will loop in thought leaders in different industries to pick their brains and also listen to their inspiring success stories. By the way, this is Jules Rodriguez, and I'm co-founder of Plastic Tides. Our nonprofit organization is on a mission to clean the rivers and seas, not just here in the Philippines, but also in the entire world. We're available on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, and Podbean. Take care of your employees, and the employees will take care of your customers. That's a quote from Richard Branson, CEO of Virgin Group. And that's why HR services have been an integral part of the success of the company, from talent screening to onboarding and managing and keeping the employees happy and motivated. Some companies even provide perks or additional benefits, but most of the big companies also organize family-oriented activities and events that will also allow employees to give back to the community. Human resources will always be in play when it comes to these projects. But guys, because of the pandemic, human resources departments are facing an uphill battle. Interviewing applicants is almost impossible due to the implementation of the community quarantine. So accomplishing these requirements to onboard these fresh talents will take a while, and also ensuring the mental stability of the company's current employees will also continue to be a challenge because of the uncertainty of this whole situation. But one company has taken a big leap in order to address these challenges by making a commitment to bring in the best people to the right companies by using different tools in virtual recruitment. I'm talking about Asticom Technologies Inc., the shared service company for recruitment and talent management of the Ayala conglomerate. And today, we are very fortunate that the president and CEO of Asticom Technologies Inc. is joining us in this episode today. She has been in the service, recruitment, talent, and human resource industry for several years, and she's also a current member of the Management Association of the Philippines and Financial Executives of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, we are looping in Miss Kai Castillo Reyes. Hello, Kai. How are you?
Hi, Jules. I'm great. It's a privilege to be part of your program. Loop me in. Thank you. And again, congratulations on your pilot episode. I've watched it. You're great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I mean, just to send it back to you, we're also really appreciative that you also took the time. And, you're here with us today. So I'm really appreciative of that. Thanks so much, Kai. I want to know, like, you as a human being, let's start there. How have you been doing, Kai? How has this whole big new normal affected you so far? Or what are you seeing right now personally? Or what are you feeling?
Well, the past 4 months I've been working from home, Jules. So, I have to say there are perks with working from home, and there are also cons on working from home. Um, if before you have an 8 to 5 job, you can go to the office, dress up, and wear your favorite shoes and bags. Now, unfortunately, you can't do that anymore, right? So all you have to do is just wear your top, and that's it. So it's been challenging, but it has also been rewarding. You know, I always say this to my team that now I spend a little bit more time with my family. I can have lunch with them, I can have breakfast with them, and I can have dinner with them on time. So I think it's positive. It's more positive rather than negative. So I feel energized though, despite 4 months of being locked down, working from home. So all good.
I've been seeing posts nga on Facebook and Instagram about people saying, so this whole lockdown has meant that I have more time with my family and it's made me reconsider nga naman where my priorities lie. So, parang if you notice nga, what people perceive a typical job to be in the Philippines would be something that will really take up all your time, all your effort. Some people take almost 2 hours just to commute to work. So, my gosh, I mean, you have so much more time now at home to really get to know the people in your house, and you're not limited anymore to just the time outside of work. So, yun nga, you're helping a huge company right now, the Ayala conglomerate, kind of also help their employees feel that way, that they feel fulfilled and that they feel happy working with the company. So, my question is, what were the roots of this? Like, how did you get into this spot where you're now able to kind of like help get people on board and keep them happy with such a large corporation? How did you start with Ayala?
My mom wanted me to become a teacher, but I always wanted to go corporate. So to give in to that, I said I'll take psychology, or I'll take the course psychology because I can either teach or I can go the industrial setting. So started my whole career in HR as an entry position in recruitment, as a recruitment assistant, and worked my way up to HR shared services head position with the Ayala Group, particularly with Globe Telecom. So it has always been my passion, to help people, to talk to people, and to find opportunities for them. So I guess it's an innate, natural thing for me that I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy and I feel uh, fulfilled that I support them and provide opportunities, most especially coming from the Ayala conglomerate and the rest of our clients. So it is a rewarding job. So I don't call it a job though. So because I enjoy it very
It's a career nga, 'di ba? Parang it's really that's where it starts mixing now where the things that you really want in your life pushes you with a company nga who helps you achieve these things. So that's kind of like what we're hearing na rin from the millennial voices that you necessarily don't have to just take any job because the sustainability of being in a job that's not fit for you is not exactly a smart move considering it's gonna kind of take its toll on you internally. Paint me a picture here how you perceived the classic method nga naman of how a company runs, it has this hierarchical approach. But of course, as more millennials jump into the workforce, it has become a lot more flat in some sense. So paint me a picture of how you've seen that change. You've seen it from such a classical approach to HR to now really having to understand the deeper needs of a younger workforce. Parang what did you see as the difference?
Well, I came from a large organization that is like almost 85 years old, right? And you now start a company from scratch day one. And I have to say, 90% of my employees today are millennials. So you can imagine, we talk about that market today. They're no longer your traditional type of workers where they will follow what you say because they're very independent, they're very assertive, they're very impatient, but in a good way, right? And I always, you're raising your hand there. Impatient in such a way that they're very eager to learn and they're very eager to understand things faster compared to the other levels of talent. So I always say to the team, make use of that opportunity and convert that energy for better performance and better productivity. So I can really say that, no? And the programs that we have in the company are way, way different versus the other big conglomerates because they wouldn't appreciate the traditional medical services and all of those things. Today they enjoy gadget loans and any other things that they would need that would support their passion.
Work
So
from home as well.
work from home as well. And later on, today, given the COVID-19 situation, one of the things that we did for our company is to offer work from home tools for our employees. So imagine, Drew. So we said 4 months in the running, COVID pandemic, we never know when we're going to go back to that office and it's important that we find a way to give a conducive working environment for our people. So we said let's offer them work, office, home chairs, tables, or any other gadgets that they would need so that we give them that opportunity to work from home and eventually they will be more productive. So all those new things that you can think of that changes the way you deliver the services for this type of talent. So interesting. We've learned a lot from COVID. We've been doing some of it pre-COVID, but it really enhanced the way we do things given the COVID situation.
What I know also nga naman is that some companies pre-COVID were actually adapting hot desking where everyone's kind of like they don't have their own cubicle anymore, where they kind of have to choose. I mean, they can choose where they want to work for that day. Very modern. And I want to know with the services nga naman, what services are being offered with Asticom?
So what Asticom is a shared services company. So we have two major services, and that would be staffing services and managed services. So when you say staffing services, when a client needs a certain talent or for a certain project or for a certain resource, then that's what we call staffing services. While managed services is really more end-to-end productivity based, output based delivery, where we take care of everything. So from resources to infrastructure to everything. So um, it's easy to say that it's called BSO or Business Services Operations or BPO as commonly known today. So the way we deliver services today or even prior COVID is different. No, before some companies they have issues giving opportunities for their employees to work from home. Today, even BPO companies are doing that. So, and they're even more in study or data shows for the past 4 months that our people are even more productive at home versus our hubs. So funny, pero that's true. So their productivity increased anywhere between 30 to 40%. So surprisingly, all of this challenges turns out to be an opportunity for everyone.
I feel like part of it also comes with the idea that the employees are a lot more happy, essentially, and they have more time nga naman to work on the things that help them grow personally. Parang wala ka ng excuse in some sense to be able to actually do what you want while you're still being able to earn your keep in the company and really help the company move forward. That's also one thing I realized that a lot of companies didn't want to let go of that. They wanted everyone to still come back to work, stay in the same place, but it really did take this pandemic to be like, oh, okay, sige, sorry everyone, you have no choice but to try work from home. So I know now that everything's done digitally. You're doing virtual recruitment, right? I want to know, how does it feel? Different? I mean, you're trying to interview someone, you're trying to get to know them, and you're used to the face to face stuff, and now it's just been video through an internet connection. What's the difference for you?
Yeah, there are definitely pros and cons, no, Jules, with the face-to-face versus virtual interviews. Though we've seen recently that it's actually better because scheduling is easier. This time you will never have candidates who will not show up because they all just need to sit in front of their computer and open their laptop. So imagine before they have to travel all the way and there's a possibility for them not to show up, right? So imagine that problem that we were able to solve. But the cons there would really be it's still very much different when you talk to a person face to face, right? So there are uh, that rapport is the rapport comes quicker and differently when you meet them face to face over the versus the virtual or versus the internet. But I have to say, it's a combination of pros and cons. I guess we don't have a choice but to get used to it because this is going to happen for a longer period of time, right? And I guess if our objective is always to protect our people, whether they're our employees or they're our candidates, we have to adjust to the new normal, and this is going to be the new normal.
So, did you see any changes or any shifts in the types of positions that people are looking for now, or the um, types of new positions that need to be filled? I mean, there's new talent, there's full time positions that you're looking for, senior managers in the executive level as well. And of course, there's the experience, but there's also current work from home skills also that some people may or may not have. So, have you seen any difference in what the companies are telling you what they're looking for?
Yes, it actually changed drastically. Our clients actually range from multiple industries, Jules. So we have telecommunications, technology, financial, fintech, health tech. So there's always a tech on each of the company. We even have logistics and distribution. So obviously during the lockdown, those industries that are necessary were the ones who were continuously serving customers, like utilities, telco, and the rest. But during the COVID period, we've also seen growth areas and opportunities. So, like what I've mentioned, from financial, they become fintech, health, they become health tech. So, from their traditional health personnel, they're now looking for more IT development type of talent that can support their business. Because majority of the companies, whether they like it or not, in order for us to survive, right, we have to shift our traditional services to technology enabled services. Or else we might not be able to serve any customers in the next few months. So the shift of clients, of customers like now, even based on our current client list, changes. And there's always a component of technology development, but they still always need people such as HR, admin, and finance support because there's still always transactions that are happening even on a work from home setup. It's good thing that you've mentioned something about non-traditional type of engagement, and we've been seeing that even pre-COVID. To be fair, Jules, no? Before an employee or a candidate would always consider only full-time jobs, like regular positions. Now companies are even considering part-timers or what they call project-driven, or some of them are even paid on an hourly basis, on a milestone or productivity base. And they sometimes call it a gig rather than a job. So it becomes a gig for you while you do a job. So if you want to do 8 to 5 and you want to do another gig in the next 2 to 4 hours, you can do that. No longer your traditional way of I hire you, you became probationary, and then you became regular. And surprisingly, even the millennials would even prefer to go part time rather than full time. So sometimes you offer them this regular position, and you'll be surprised. That's not something that they get
Pwede bang
hinted of.
part-time?
Pwede mo. Pwede bang
Tama.
part-time? Ayan,
Ah,
yan ang
ah.
hinihingi nila ngayon. So,
So, what types of
interesting. It's
questions?
really shifted.
What type of questions would you ask to determine their technological capability?
Well, obviously there will be some technical questions that we will have to ask based on the language that they know and the requirements that they have. What we normally do is we ask them for a certain demo or portfolio of the things that they do. Because it's easy to go through an interview, but it's quite different when you actually deliver a job. So one of the things we're trying to do right now in this gig economy is we're actually going to post potential openings or projects, and for you to upload some of your portfolio and requirements. And from there, we don't even need to interview you. If your portfolio or project qualifies, then you can proceed with the project. So the non-traditional way of interviewing might happen in the coming months. So it's no longer your usual. I'll set up a one-on-one interview with you and assess you based on that. So there are many ways now to find the right talent.
I'd like to find out now. Say you said portfolio nga is really the one thing that will really be like, okay, you're qualified for this. I want to ask this for all the people out there who are listening. What do you look for in that portfolio? I mean, people need to work on their portfolio now. Before they just had to show where they worked, how long they worked, maybe some reports or some reviews from their previous employers. But now, if you're saying that the portfolio matters, what part of the portfolio do you value?
Correct. So it's all about output, Jules. No? So you're right, no? You were right, smack correct in saying that before, just write your experience and tell them what you've done before and all of those things. So now you have to show what you have delivered. It's an actual output. If you said you were able to put up a mobile app, then you show us an actual mobile app. If you say you were able to do programming languages like this, then you should be able to put that forward. And it's not just for IT though, Jules, right? For example, we have projects like graphic design or projects such as communication or copywriting services. So it's all about what you've created or what you've done before, who would actually speak with the type of or the quality of talent you can hire. So uh, yes, there is still merit to your experience and your resume, but I guess the way we look at things now, given the situation we have, where majority of our clients would need it immediately, projects would start ASAP. It's also very important to find the right talent because you can imagine how challenging it is when you find the talent, went through the probationary period, eventually decided that, oh, this is not the right talent for us. So it's really about output and it's really about delivery.
One thing I've learned about the millennial community or the millennial mindset is that people really are willing to be more individualistic. They're willing to stand more for their identities and the personality, which means every person that you hire essentially is a sort of unique piece in the puzzle. how do you make sure that all these varying pieces with so many needs and so many things that need to be fulfilled, how do you uh, essentially make sure that they're happy?
Okay, so that's a very difficult question, Jules, right? So imagine I have 3,000, close to 3,500 employees in Asticom. So, and 90% of which are millennials. So that individualistic perspective is quite a tough responsibility. But I guess what's important and what's good about it is making sure that you always give them that opportunity because millennials are the type who would want to make sure that their work is for a certain purpose. You get what I mean? That a job for them is not just a job. They need to be able to like what they do. They need to be able to see that it serves a bigger purpose than delivering the task itself. So I guess it's the responsibility of Asticom and the rest of the company to think about making sure that we continuously energize them and find ways and opportunities to give them the chance to really deliver that individualistic perspective where they can contribute beyond what they do. So I'll give you an example. In Asticom, we have what we call the engagement team. All right. So imagine I have 3,500 people. I have only X number of HR personnel, and that's how it works, right? So the best thing to do is to engage the rest of the organization and find those people who are willing to support and do work outside their traditional work by doing engagement activities or engagement program for the rest of the organization. And surprisingly, and it was volunteer work, Jules, right? Surprisingly, it was an outstanding response coming from the employees that they would like to put forward activities, events, that would cater to their own needs and to the needs of the rest of the employees. Recently, we've actually launched a program called Sana All. I'm
Oh,
sure you're a
yeah.
millennial, you understand. At the start, I didn't get it. So what was Sana All? What was this about? And my millennials say, boss, that's an in thing today. Everyone's saying Sana All. It's like, okay. So, and we've launched that program and asked the team of the 3,500 employees and say, what would be your Sana All? And you will be surprised that they were all putting it out there. Sana All, we will continue working from home. Sana All, we will be given like scooters as part of
Ah,
our tools
transpo.
and all
Oo.
of those transportation. So it's really always giving them the chance and that opportunity and that voice, no? To talk either formal or informal to management. Um, we also have a program. We also have a program called Asti Careers, Jules, where if you have been in the company for 2 to 3 years, you are entitled to apply to any internal positions that we may have. So if you decide that you would like to change or shift careers and we see that you have a potential and we can upskill you and develop you for that, then we can actually move you to a certain role that gives you also that level of satisfaction that you've not been in the same position for more than 3 years. Because I guess that's how talents are. In my age, at my age, during my time, what we normally hold on is I've been in the company for 10 years, 15 years, and so on and so forth. But now, talents would like to change and shift careers every 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of looking at it in a negative way, try to look at it as an opportunity. So if there are opportunities within, then why not shift your own talent and they become an ambassador also for the company and they stay longer. And it's a best retention tool that you can give to them.
you can work with the same company, but your role can change naman talaga. I mean, my experience working with an American reality TV show allowed me to work as my first job as a PA. My next job, the year later, I was building and testing structures. So parang iba rin. And then the job after that was I was an assistant camera. So that ensured that for me, I was happy in a job wherein I was not constantly doing the same thing over and over again. And I did feel like I had a bigger perspective of the company and I believed in the big picture of the company. So that's what really kept me interested and excited and energetic. We did some research, right? And like some companies now are looking at virtual reality for job simulations. So essentially, you're simulating literally what they would be doing in the job. And how do you imagine that virtual reality now being able to kind of like create a situation to test how they would act? It used to be a questionnaire before, but now it's a full experience. You have the audio, you have the view, or even just on the monitor. I mean, do you think that's possible here for the Philippines? And where do you think that can help?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's been that technology has been there for quite a while, right? Though it's not being widely used on the corporate side, but we've actually experienced a number of technology in VR, particularly on assessment. So that's what you're referring to. Imagine majority of the people now working from home. So how do you shift an on-the-job training to a virtual job simulation? And this is one of the technologies that you can use it with. So it goes beyond recruitment or assessment, but it also can be used for training and development and simulation. So whether we like it or not, Jules, this technology will enable all of us with the new normal. So we have to embrace technology moving forward. Surprisingly, even in recruitment today, we are now exploring ways on how we can do sourcing by use of AI and machine learning. If before it would take a sourcing person to literally go through the internet and find the right people, a bot can even do that for you.
Yep.
In Asticom, we have a bot which we call Mars. Mars stands for, yeah, we call her Mars. Now, Mars stands for Monitor Asticam's Response and Safety. Given COVID-19, I have 3,500 employees. Calling them one by one to check them daily will not be possible.
Mahirap.
So, but
Oo.
a bot, exactly, but a bot was able to say hi to them every single morning to check whether they're unwell or well. And if they're unwell, then it automatically goes to a system and someone calls them to check whether they're okay and if they need additional support. So technology will enable us moving forward. No? That's really how it's going to work. I guess pre-COVID, those are things that are being done, and we're not the only company who actually did that. A lot of companies have been doing that. Chatbots are also the way to go. You don't necessarily need traditional call centers to answer a customer service query. Even on our own company, our employees would normally ask the same set of questions. So we would normally ask a chatbot to just respond to them and say, this is all about your question. So AI, virtual reality, machine learning, that's going to be a future. I guess COVID-19 just fast tracked everything that we need to do. So exciting. It's really exciting to see this new technology augmenting the way we work today.
Kai, talk to me more about automation. Parang because I like what you said that you have to use a bot. You can't hire one person to literally talk to every single person. Or even if you hired a team, you'd have to hire a pretty large team. So ano yung mga ibang inautomate? I mean, that's not a company secret naman or anything, right? But
Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not.
okay. So what are the other things you automated?
Okay, a lot of transactional areas
Ah,
can be automated. So, for example, we have a bot which is an RPA. for our billing and collection. So
Mm.
imagine the number of transactions I have. So I have close to 100 companies I support. The close to 2,000 to 3,000 billings I release every single month. And imagine how many people will need to do that on a monthly basis for us to release it. So now we have to put a bot in our billing system or a billing collection system, and in the work of a 15-day finance team would actually cut down to 30 minutes a month because a bot, you just need to click that button and that bot will send out that billing. And the rest is
Wow.
fine.
That's
So we're really seeing a lot of offers. Imagine, it's not just cost efficiency, Jules. It's
yeah.
also giving the opportunity for those people to have more value adding jobs, right? Because if you've been doing billing for 3, 5 years, I'm sure eventually you would say, "Oh my God, why am I still doing this?" So the opportunities of looking at repetitive, transactional, um, very clear guidelines is an automatic process that can be automated immediately. So, but automating is not as simple as that, right? You shouldn't automate a process from 1 to 10 and just automate that. It defeats the purpose of automating things. So you have to um, re re-engineer your process first and then automate it so that you get the full value.
And automation really allows you to kind of like um, essentially draw the essential information from them to determine how well they're doing. So it's a temperature check, it's a pulse check. Um, how would you say that can become a problem also? That's where I want to ask. Parang where are the hot points for where automation should not be used? Because of course you can't have a machine talking to a human being asking how are you, and then what are they gonna say? Okay naman, Mars.
Yeah,
Diba?
that's
Parang,
correct. That's right.
so where does the human factor come in?
Yeah, yeah,
Where's the border?
yeah. So it's pretty obvious that not everything you can automate, right? There are certain areas and certain processes that you can actually inject the technology. But whether you like it or not, there are still areas that you have to put that personal touch. So, for example, today digital learning is key. Because before, majority of the classroom training is being done face to face, right? So I have to have a literal classroom for me to teach you and to train you. So today we do hybrid. We can't you can't do full digital learning. There has to be some hybrid scenario there or blended learning as they call it. So there's a component of digital and there's a component of personal and uh, that actual training, coaching, and mentoring cannot be converted to a bot, right? So there are certain functions and roles that will never be replaced by a robot. No? But there are certain and major transactions and processes that it's about time you automate it because it's less value adding um, and, and, and and it's transactional. So and a bot will be more efficient than doing it versus 50 people, and a bot can do it 1/10 of the time for you. So those are just examples of training and development. Though I mentioned to you that Mars does checking whether they're well or unwell, right? But the minute they say they're unwell, it's an actual person who gives them a call.
Ah, okay, okay,
Yes, yes.
okay.
And say, how are you doing? What are you feeling? Is it COVID related or just really something?
Uh,
And funny, because this is a funny story. People would say they're unwell, and when you check them, say, uh, I'm heartbroken. It's like, oh my God. So funny, but
honest, honest.
this is honest. Tama naman yung tanong.
Mm-mm.
Unwell. Hindi nga lang na isagot na COVID related, di ba? But that needs to be augmented by a real person. So it can't be fully authentic.
Giving respect to all the people who, of course, during this COVID time had been retrenched. A lot of people really did lose their jobs, and they're now kind of like gearing up to find a new opportunity online. Obviously, what would you say are the human aspects or the human traits that you're looking for someone who is looking for a job and you're looking to hire? What are those qualities?
Mm. Okay. All right. So given the situation today, it shows how important and crucial a person should be tech savvy. They don't need to be experts on technology, but at the very least, they're tech savvy. They understand technology. Because if they don't, then they better think twice. So it's going to be a challenge for them because whether like it or not, video conferencing and all of these things are happening on a regular basis. Even you working from home would require you to use systems and technology. So that's one, no, it's important. Two, we always look for us, for Asticom and even for our clients, we always look for someone who is very optimistic. It's very, very important. No? Yes, it's one thing that you were retrenched or redundated, but it's also another thing how you see it and how you look at the next opportunity that you may have, right? So it's not always negative. And I always say this to my team. In this time of crisis, no one even knows when it's going to end. Look at it as an opportunity. So find ways to make yourself productive. Maybe it's about time for you to learn new things, explore your interests, and maybe do a shift, right? Because things are changing today. No, the traditional way of doing things becomes a challenge. I'll give you an example. We had clients in the retail industry, and you know for a fact, Jules, that they're the ones that is most affected. All the malls are closed, even if they're open now, but there's limited groceries and the rest, right? So imagine I have people who are sales and retail personnel doing field sales or retail work. So the question now is what will they do today? Because majority of our clients are now shifting to e-commerce. They are looking for new channels on how to sell. So we need to make sure we start looking after our people, looking at how we can upskill them and how we can develop them and change the way they do things today. So some of them we tried training and upskilling to do telesales. Um, some of them we tried putting in some of our support positions. So they need to be open, no, with new ways of working, new ways of doing things. No, it can't be your traditional type of work anymore. Although, Jules, I have to say that that can only be effective for certain functions. Obviously, given the situation today, there are still certain positions, no, and that may not be able to catch up immediately. So those who are not tech savvy, let's face it, those people who would not have the liberty like us to have access to technology or internet. So how do we help those people? How do we find them, right? And give them opportunities. So imagine the range of positions I hire or we hire, Jules, from riders to inventory to warehouse personnel to even senior managers or senior ITPM. So we need to be able to be flexible in giving the right channel for this type of people. So there. So I guess we need to be very open. We have to learn new things, and those people need to be very optimistic and positive. So I think that's the only way you can stay sane in this type of situation.
I do have to agree with what you said. I love the fact that you brought up upskilling as well, because yun nga, it's like there is so many opportunities now as well to be able to learn new skills because of the information available to us on the internet. And that, I feel, really adds value to you as an employee. If
Yeah.
you're able to fulfill the needs of the company, but you also have skills beyond what you have to offer, then there will be more opportunities presented to you by the company, knowing na magaling ka rin sa ibang bagay.
I was mentioning earlier about Astic careers, and one of the recent survey we've released was, what are your other skills outside what you do today? So we've asked our people their top 3 to 5 other skills, because the goal is to gather information and data and really identify what would be the next potential role or opportunity for those people. So um, we try our very best in this situation to hold on to our employees, and that's something I'm very proud of, Jules. And it's not easy, I have to say, right? We've had clients who are really strongly affected by the pandemic. But we said we will hold on to our people. We will support them as much as we can. We will try to find new opportunities for them, because by the end of the day, I know this will all pass, and our people will value us. That they know that there is a company who's really looking after them, whether it's pre-COVID or COVID. So we've had to be very creative in gathering information, getting that information from employees. You'll be surprised. We've had accountants who are part-time developers. We only knew because of that survey. We've had recruiters who actually do marketing events on the side. Imagine, those are gigs that you can actually
Yeah.
even give to all our employees rather than hiring a third party provider.
You can keep it in
So
the
it's
family na.
exactly, exactly. So we just need to be very creative, no?
I have a question,
And finding
Kai.
it.
Kai, ano yung mga
Sure.
really unique skills na na-discover nyo with some of your employees? I'm sure there are some people out there with very unique skills that you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that you could do this. So, what would be
Um,
the maybe top three na parang, oh wow, that's a different type of job or skill?
yeah. It might not be super unique, but I guess I would have to say unique because it's totally different from what they do. So those are the examples that I gave you, right? So a recruiter who's also a marketing event person on the side, an accountant or a finance admin support who actually does graphic design on the side. So and those are their interests, diba? Sometimes when even if you don't do that for a job, but if it interests you, you try to learn something out of it, and we keep it saying, then maybe that becomes a gig for you, and you might get paid for it in the near future. So a lot of interesting information. I guess those are the things that stands out. I haven't seen like really new, unique, weird things because
Mga
uh,
agriculture. Mga, di
wala
ba?
naman yata ako nakita gano'n. But some of them would have, just like you, Jules, and I admire you for doing that. Like, they have social responsibility, corporate social responsibilities that they do on the side. That you'll be surprised that they teach pre-COVID. They were teaching street children outside work. So imagine the different type of passion and work that they do outside it. And you never know unless you ask, right? And I guess with Facebook now, that's good because you get to see it when you post it, when they post it. But them telling you about it is a powerful information for a company like
What can you impart to our listeners who are listening right now who are trying to get a grip on what's going on? I mean, some they still have their jobs. They everything's all right, but they're just working at home. But of course, there is the concept or the question of stability in your own job as well. So, what type of wisdom can you impart on someone who's looking at finding a job, but also they're not sure if there's something that they should jump into after? Parang, people who are just right on the border or people who are split.
One of the major areas we have to look at now, not just us, but even other companies, is mental health or mental wellness. If before it's all about benefits, it's all about what can we give. It's now about checking on their mental health and mental wellness. So you can imagine Dole actually showed millions of people lost their jobs. And I always say to the team, we are very lucky that we support clients who are still there to support us as well. And that it's very important that you always assure them that as a company, you are there to support them and provide them continuous livelihood as much as you can. But it is also a two-way thing. Diba? It's not always about the company giving something to you, but it's also very important that you give back to the company. It's one thing we take care of you. It's also another thing you take care of the company so we can take care of the customer and we can all survive as an organization. So mental health or mental wellness is very important. So that becomes a challenge because a lot of people are pressured and stressed because they don't know how long they can hold on to their job. So that sometimes even if they don't like the job because of the situation today, I will hold on to this because I might not have a job in the coming months. So I guess what's key here is it's important that you understand what you can do, continue to find your other skill set so that you become holistic. Don't uh, don't stick to one function at this point because that function may no longer be relevant in the coming months. So it's important that new learnings will always be there. And I always say that to my team, learn as much as you can. Uh, Go to online learning. There are free webinars that are happening. There are podcasts like this where you actually learn a lot of things. Learn new things, expand your skill, and expand your expertise so that you become valuable to any organization you join, whether it's existing or the future company you will.
I I couldn't have said it any better, Kai. That was a beautiful cherry on top of our conversation. So before we end, I want I want to ask, how can people find you? What's the website of Asticom Technologies? And how can people reach out to you after hearing this podcast? And maybe, something might come up. And where can we find you?
Sure. So thanks for that, Jules. You can actually visit us at www.asticom.com.ph, or you can also visit our official social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So, or you can always email me at inquiry@asticom.com. So thank you very much.
Kai, thank you so much. I learned so much from today, and I hope also our listeners learned a lot as much as I did. And yun nga, we're we're here. Everyone's willing to work, everyone's excited to work, but of course the direction is not there sometimes. So this is really valuable information for people to understand that you don't necessarily have to be really good at just one thing, because that's not the world anymore. You have to have other skills as well. You have to kind of MacGyver it sometimes, diba? So I'm sure for some of the millennials, yung reference na yan hindi lumipad.
Hindi nila alam.
But essentially that's it. So I feel like I'm so grateful that we had you on the show, and I look forward to being able to see you in the real world as well. So thank you so much, Kai, and thank you for your time and for being on Loop Me In. And that ends our episode for today. Please listen or download our podcast on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and Podbean. You can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube, and you can also check out our official website, www.connectpodcast.net. Please also follow us on our official social media accounts, and you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This has been Jules Rodriguez, and this is Loop Me In.